San Bernardino in town, and I just want to thank everybody and introduce Carol, who's been at the forefront of this fight since it started. Carol?
Hi everybody, thank you for coming. Mike has been one of our core people, along with Carl Welty, an architect here in Pomona, and Albert Deek, who should be here. We've been at the forefront of this situation where we are completely against what's projected to go into the town and San Bernardino property. To give you a little bit of background, this was sold privately in October 14th of last year. It was a hush-hush deal. It was actually traded property, not sold, no money exchanged. Don't know what the back end of that was. I get an email around November from one of my neighbors saying, have you seen this article? The article stated from Biz Journal that this property is already sold and this is what's going to go up here. Absolutely, completely shocked and blindsided. Called the mayor, called Elizabeth Ontiveros-Cole, who through a couple of text conversations politely said, this is my family time, yada yada yada, and recused herself basically. She was all for it and shocked and against, and then all of a sudden we never hear from her, even though she's been invited to the meetings at Central Baptist Church. The mayor has appeared and voiced his opinion at their last meeting at Central Baptist Church, and so it's up to us to take a stand against this. Apparently he is for it. Elizabeth Cole is for it, and we're sitting here as dead ducks, basically having to fight this fight that's going in. My personal opinion, I don't mind something going in, but not to this high density project with a 3-story, with the amount of people that are going to be coming in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The traffic on our street is already horrendous. You can't get to town in San Bernardino without having to sit and wait for 15 minutes at just the stop sign in order to go through the queue. This is going to really devastate our area. Also, a backdrop of that the Central Baptist Church, the white church just past that, has been offered a $10 million deal for their property. They recused it. It went up to $13 million. They still backed out. They said no at this time. Now we're also looking at possibility that the Covenant Methodist Church might be sold in the future. That would absolutely devastate our entire area. We had a meeting, Mike, Albert, Carl, and myself with Anita Gonzalez of the planning department, along with Ada Khan and another member of their planning people. He just sat by it, I don't even remember his name. So that you probably didn't even know, and I didn't even know, that the property on the other side of the freeway, the Jack in the Box, 7-Eleven, is deemed an event property. So they are looking towards, and Ada Khan came out and said, this is going to be a walking area. Everything is a walking area. So no cars, no nothing. We're going to walk to and from, maybe in the next 100 years, but not at this time. So now there's a big concern that that might turn into an event. Oh, he wants theaters, restaurants, as he stated. And we're kind of looking at him going, you got to be out of your mind since you don't live here. This is the largest single home area between here, Indian Hill, just below the freeway, 10 freeway, all the way down to Hope. It's the largest single home area in all of Pomona. Everything else is apartments, townhomes, etc., and also single family homes sprinkled everywhere, but this is the largest congestion of it. So what they want to do is start with this 50 townhome, well, wait, I don't know if it's 50 because it could have gone up. At the time of Biz Journal article, it was a 50-plus townhome. All they can have 80 units. That could be a home, that could be a townhome, apartment, 80 units per acre. This is just under 2 acres, 1.92-ish, don't hold me to it, on that property alone. so they can build whatever they seem to be wanting to build. And we basically have absolutely zero say in it up to this point. We need to stop this. We need to at least lower the density of it with a 2-car garage, 3 stories, 2 and 3 bedrooms. And speaking with Timothy Sales of RC Properties directly, he stated, well, yes, it's going to be leased out for a year, and then after a year we'll look at month to month, and that could be absolutely anybody coming in. Not opposed to anybody coming in. The problem is, it's anybody, meaning more bodies, more people coming into our neighborhood. We already have 5 deaths at Towne Avenue that have happened in the past years. We have hundreds of accidents every single year. We just had 2 accidents in April, back to back, within 5 days apart. Smashed around the light pole, if you happen to remember that one. And then a few days later, a 3-car collision with a dump truck, or not a dump truck, a U-Haul truck with somebody hauling their dirt coming back from Home Depot. That's just a little bit. I've seen, like I said in my post, I've seen 3 a day come off of the exit at Towne Avenue from the freeway, and there's bumper to bumper. They're smashed. That's 2, 3. Sometimes the CHP is there. If it's really involved, then the Pomona PD might be there. Sometimes they just exchange numbers. The thing is, that is going to increase dramatically if this thing gets in the way it is. If you have a 2-car garage, 50 units, supposedly 50 units, I'll say, at 100, that's 100 people using those. Now you have extra people coming in, family members, friends, whatever, kids, they're going to get their first car, whatever. Where are they going to park? They're going to be parking on Palomares. They're going to be parking on San Bernardino. They're going to be jetting right out and zooming down Palomares as it is. I almost got hit twice last month, once with 2 trucks. One of the birds did our peacocks that some love, some don't. I happen to love, and I protect them with everything we got. Got the tail feathers caught in the wheels. Ooh. As I screamed for him to stop. I now go out in the middle of the street to stop these speeders that go at least 60, 70 miles an hour from top Palomares down to McKinley, or from McKinley all the way up. This is on almost a daily basis, and in the summer it's going to get worse. We've just had one of our kitties killed last week from a speeder who couldn't care less and kept going, and the cat died of my arms. So I'm kind of done with all of that, and to add to the 50 whatever townhome project that's going to be projected here, it seems to be a carte blanche that we have no say. We've done our research, a lot of research. Carl Welty has done an amazing job of giving us the backbone of all of this and why this is happening, why it can happen. There's categorical exemptions for all this stuff to bypass historical society stuff. Go bypass your votes to vote in and out, or the planning commission. There's 17 pages here that says we're just going to create all this stuff, and so make it easier for all these pop-ups to happen, and that's exactly that's what's happening here. Within our meeting with Anita, directly I said, well, what's the process? Well, her exact words were, if the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, that's fine, I'm good, right? And she's looking to Otacon and the other person. So she seems to be the person that says yes or no whether this project can go up or not. As long as they have their permits, she's good to go. But what about us residents? What about people living here on a daily basis? What about the kids that almost get hit on Madison because they're zooming down, and now that they've closed McKinley, they zoom up our street? This is going to be a direct funnel right into our neighborhoods. They're not going to be able to go onto the freeway. They're going to have to go onto Gibbs, Madison, Roosevelt to get to Gibbs, to go onto the freeway either that way or that way.
It's already happening.
It's going to happen even 10 times worse, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. But Madison's
One of our little kids just almost got hit as he was playing he was in the street, but his parents were there. They have it blocked.
I know, they're
yeah,
always out with it.
yeah, they're always out. But the thing is, they're going to get hit or killed by one of these guys, And then what's going to happen? I hope they attach the city of Pomona, because the city of Pomona has refused to address the situation. I have contacted Ron Chen multiple times over the years, and I will say multiple times because of the last person that died, because you can't get through more than a second or two, and if you happen to go from the stop sign to Towne Avenue, you can't make it. So what do people do? They punch it, and boom, that's when they get hit. 2-3 car collision, or they finally took it out because there were so many accidents happening. They had a 4-foot railing around there on Towne and San Bernardino. The guy took it out because of too many accidents. So where do we stand? What is our recourse?
In the morning it's just totally congested.
It's totally congested, but this is going to be even worse.
Yeah.
Don't mind a project there, but what type of project? Is it going to complement our architecture? Is it going to complement leading into the Lincoln Park area? We consider ourselves Lincoln Park North because we still have many of the same styles of homes, and it leads down into Lincoln Park and the rest of this area. Is it going to be a monstrosity? Is it going to be, looking like a jail cell? What is it going to look like? Right now we have zero say in all of this. So this is where we need to step up and get to the Planning Commission. We need to step up and voice our opinions at the next City Council meeting on the 5th, I believe. I have to double check that. And keep voicing your opinions every time they meet. That way they know we mean business. If they get their foothold there, they're going to go to that property, and they're going to go to that property, and then we're done for. They're totally done. So if people do not speak up now, if they do not want to change, fine, I'll back away, and then you're going to have whatever you're going to have. We'll have to live with it. But we need to make a change. Fox Glen in Laverne is making a huge difference. They've galvanized each block. They've signed petitions. They're going to, they brought in 3 agencies. They've voiced their opinion at the council meeting. They've voiced it, and that was a totally done deal. They didn't even know anything about it until it was found out. And so they have galvanized their residents to say, no, not in my area. The mayor is totally against it. So we have to stand and literally galvanize, glue ourselves together, make ourselves known, get our petitions going, even if it means standing up at Walmart, standing over at, I'll go to Stairs, I'll get petitions for them to listen to us. The mayor doesn't want to listen to us. Our representative doesn't want to listen to us. So we have to stand up for ourselves. If it means legal action, okay.
I wanted to say something because I've been following this Fox Glen, and they have done all of that. The other thing that kind of impressed me, because they really don't want that there, but the way they have voiced it is that they understand that there's a need for this kind of property, but that when you look at the traffic patterns, when you look at this pattern, when you look at that pattern, this is not an optimum placement for that particular project that they want to do there, as opposed to saying we don't want it, it's going to ruin our neighborhood, which to me I thought was kind of a better way to just approach it. I'm not saying we're not doing that. I'm just saying that they have, as you said, galvanized their area, and they are voicing it in a way that it does not sound like we hate what's happening, although they probably do. But at least they are, voicing it in a manner that says, look, we understand the need, but this is not the most optimum place.
Let me introduce Carl Welke, he is like, I call him Captain Carl because he has done such amazing research on all of this. He handles different cities, he's an architect, he has to deal with permits and things like that, and the knowledge he's been he's my guy. Yes, you are our only expert here at this point. But the thing is, as he's pointed out in multiple meetings, that we have housing. We have housing going up all over Pomona. Holt Avenue, Gary Avenue, you know what's happened at Laverne and Bonita. You know what's happening there. Now I believe I'm hearing 2nd Street, or down by the railroad tracks, that's happening. Below the tracks at Gary, that's going up. totally get where that's appropriate. This here, in this quiet residential area, is not appropriate for this amount of high density housing. It doesn't matter whether it's low rent, high rent, $1 million. It's not appropriate at this time with this high density project going in. That's what we're saying. So we need to, like I said, I don't know, where do we go from here?
I just want to
Let me
add
introduce
that
Carol.
by appropriate, it's based on the city's own work. The city, if you look at the city's, what is the
City plan, general plan.
Well, general plan by the specific plan. The city has specific plans for Gary Avenue, Mission Avenue, Holt Avenue, which is where they've been focusing on high density, increasing the density, and commercial property as well. So they've studied these major streets, but for 10 or 15 years, and they have guidelines specifically how to increase the density on those streets. And that's where they've looked at, they've studied that, and they have guidelines on how to increase the density on those streets. There's no specific plan for Towne Avenue. So to say that they don't have, it's not appropriate. It's not just Carol's opinion. They haven't looked at how to do that, and because they haven't looked at it, they've not looked at how to do that. They're going to make rules that will allow them to do things on Towne Avenue that are not appropriate.
The people behind you, I'm sorry, I didn't get to hear what you were saying. I don't know if it'd be better if you stood up or...
I don't know if you can stand.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
You want a chair? I'll give you my chair.
No, I'm fine.
Oh, okay.
I'm not, what I said was, so the issue about not appropriate, it's not just an arbitrary idea. And this is what I've concluded from looking at the general plan and what they call the specific plan. The they have spent millions of dollars on looking at how to increase density and where to increase density. And then there's a specific plan for Gary, for Holt, and Mission. And that's kind of where they've been showing, where they've been building increased density. Versus Towne Avenue, they have not looked at it. The developer has found this one property all along, the only property south of the freeway that it has an opportunity to build. But to build, 20 units per acre is so far beyond what that neighborhood is already, the density of the neighborhood. They're making up the rules as they go in an area it's not appropriate. Now beyond the reasons why I think they've looked at Gary, they've looked at Mission and Holt Avenue, it's those streets they're already they already has the stuff that you need for increased density neighborhoods. There's commercial, there's the businesses, there's more traffic lights. So there's already an infrastructure on those streets for increased density. And none of those things are on Towne Avenue. I mean, I don't know if we're recording this, but yeah. I mean, in the meeting, they told us, well, Towne Avenue is the ideal place for increased density because it's the widest street, north-south street in Pomona.
It's a drag strip.
That's
exactly.
The response should be, it's a drag strip.
Right.
You need what this community needs is more traffic control. They don't need more cars. That's anyway. You have a question?
Yeah, may I speak?
Yeah.
Hello, I'm your councilwoman, Elizabeth Ontiveros-Cole, and I am here, and I do care.
Good.
Carol.
Nice to meet you.
I really do care,
meet
and
you.
so does the mayor.
Okay.
So the first thing I want to say is, I am concerned about this. I've been here all my life. I don't know how long anybody has been here, but I've been
My
here
whole life too.
all my life.
70 years.
So you and I both know the change, but everybody else does too. So I think this is a collaborative effort that we really need to know what's happening in our neighborhoods, okay? And first of all, that at one time, okay, that had been a private home. If you know anybody from the Kingsley School back in the day, it was Connie Struve who lived in that home with her parents, and then they moved, they sold the house and they sold it to the Automobile Club. Unfortunately, I wish that house, that automobile club, was restored. I was very upset when I found out about it. I think I sent you an email along with everybody else that I felt that something like that, that's iconic, should have been restored, because I believe in keeping preservation history of our city. We're losing it. And that's another one that we just lost. So,
Okay, but why was it knocked down?
Excuse me. So, the situation is this. Just like I said in my email, that we put the cart before the horse. Nothing has been promised yet in that location. It was knocked down, and I did speak to Anita Gutierrez. Okay, it's Gutierrez, not Gonzalez.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I even sent her an email last night at 11 o'clock. Okay, they got the permit to knock it down in February. They went ahead and did it just a few days ago. It broke our hearts. I would have done something different. I would have created a restaurant there. I would have. Something that would have been a neighborhood type thing. We do it all the time. Laverne does it all the time. San Dimas does it all the time. We don't use the vision, and that's the problem. We don't use our vision. Unfortunately, we find out after the fact. And that's what really, I think, bothers us. We don't know what's going in there. We have not been informed by anybody from staff. The mayor, myself, and our colleagues have not received any notification. Nothing at all. We don't know if that's going to happen. It could be something that might go by right. We have so many developing situations and projects that are going up by right. By right means that they don't have to go through planning. If they fit the location of the local zoning and the jurisdiction among the city, then they can go without even having to go through planning. I hope this is not the case. I hope it's not the case.
I talked to her Thursday.
you know,
That's
I
exactly
hope-
the
can I
case.
say
Okay,
And
so,
she's sending me
so
the
you're
specs this
informed.
coming week.
So you're informed, ma'am.
Yeah.
You're informed that it might be by right. Unfortunately, that's not what I like. And this was done back, just a second, Mike. This was done back in about 2019 when we created this little clause. And another former, Christina Carasosa,
Ordinance
the
4322.
former council person from District 3, she was trying to change that little tiny clause because it gives one person the power to use it by right. I think it should be something that should be created for everyone to decide. And that's going through planning, going through all these other exercises that we should be doing. But if that's the case, Carol, then it might be happening. I'm not for it. I'm not. I'm for keeping something very historical looking. I don't know what they're going to be doing. What, 53 units?
They said 50, but it could go up to 80. We don't know. She's
Well,
gonna
there's
do the
no
specs
room as
this
far
coming-
as I'm concerned. Now, the situation is this.
There is room.
There is room
There is room.
for 158.
There is room there.
Not in my book.
Not in my book either.
Yeah.
But you can find examples.
The twin towers were built on 2-acre footprints. The twin towers. So there's room.
Okay, you mean New York?
New York, yes. Each tower is
But
1-acre
but
footprint.
There's the development, kind of just finished in the last 6 months at the corner of Gary and Bonita.
Okay, Gary and Bonita. That was by right.
And I would make a case that it makes more sense there.
The ones
I'm-
that are on Bonita and Town.
I can list. I can talk about new developments within Pomona that make more sense, and I believe that it makes more sense because they're working within the guidelines of the specific plans of Gary Avenue, of Holt, and Mission, so they have more clear guidelines
It's a
on how.
corridor specific.
Right. So so for me, they haven't looked at how to do this correctly on Town. Therefore,
It's a
the
residential,
people.
is what it is. Town Avenue has been that way ever since I can remember.
But the planning department tells us they try to explain to I'm just kind of the witness here, but they try to explain to the citizens who are trying to find out how it's going to work out, and they try to make this flimsy explanation that that Towne Avenue is equal to these streets that they've spent millions of dollars to look at, and they have guidelines on how to do it. Excuse me.
Yeah,
And
okay.
their only answer is, okay, there's no specific plan, but it's the widest street. I mean, what would we call that if we were drinking beer at a bar? We would call that bullshit. and this concerned citizens, they're more concerned because they're not getting straight answers.
I am concerned about the density. I'm concerned about the traffic. I put in the installation of the digital machines that we have. I put it on Towne. I put it on East Alvarado going to Stater Brothers because of the traffic that was speeding through. I put them on San Bernardino because a lady was killed head on. I put one on Lincoln Park because somebody had 6 accidents. Vehicles went 6
I'm just sharing my.
Everybody's
These are
here
great things.
to share their opinion. And so we got to be very careful. And you know what? Things can be amended. Things can be amended. Let me say this. If we can amend the corridor specific plan for other things, and it's happened, then we can do it for this. But
Well,
we
the
have-
starting point is there is no specific plan. It's just a Wild West show, and it sounds like
Okay.
the planning department is going to allow the developers to do whatever they want because there are no guidelines.
Well, the
That's
thing is
my-
this,
that's-
it's by right, and it's going throughout the whole state, it's by right. So now, what can we do in our city? How can we change that? By joining together, like you said, coming to the council, giving your 3 minutes, even if there's 50 or 100. We have to hear you. That's what we're for, whether we like to hear it or not. So if everybody wants to come, we have one tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. If you like to be there, get your little blue card and voice your opinion. You're taxpayers. You're allowed to, you can tell the council anything you'd like, within, as long as you don't get mad and threaten, things like that.
I've done it.
He's done it. A lot of people
Do they
have
not
done
have
it.
to put a sign for public opinion on that?
You know
on
what?
that
We
property?
haven't gotten that far. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing that has been given.
Nothing
to
in the
us.
pipeline, so to speak.
Nothing at all.
Carol,
Well,
has
I'm
been
on
told-
this desk
I
right
know,
now, so
Carol,
that's where
nothing
it's
at all
saying
has been brought to us. When you had your first meeting at
Baptist Church.
okay,
twice.
we had no indication at all. The only thing we knew was that you were having the meeting. Nothing was brought to us, and the mayor didn't even know about this
How
project.
did I, a typical citizen, get a text saying this is happening
You
in November, and I called you?
You focused,
and I
on
forwarded
an article, a newspaper article, or
That
something
it was already
like that.
sold. I then did
Yeah,
my
it
due
was
diligence,
sold.
and we
Yes.
got the paperwork
Yes.
saying it was traded, not sold. And so I'm getting all this information. We galvanized, and Carl did I've got everything
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
And
That I
yet,
don't
Mayor
know.
and you don't know anything about
No,
it.
we did not, and that's the honest truth.
That's the sad part.
That's very sad, and it's very sad that we have to go through this all the time.
So
It-
if
even,
we need something amended,
yeah.
we need to get that done. We
and
can't be
exactly, and so
talking about
you're
it.
the voice. You have a right to
Elizabeth,
speak.
you know,
Yes,
with
Mike.
all due diligence, with all due respect, excuse me, I'm glad that you're here, and it
With a broken toe, I'm
it
here.
seems to me that the horse is already out of the stable because this thing is already going, and we need to be really working hard, and I hope that you'll be able to work as hard on this as we are working to stop this. Do we have your commitment?
Like I just said, I don't agree with what's happening, Mike. I don't feel that this is the right location. I don't know what they're planning on. You're saying 80 units
This is
now?
what the
This is-
what the
to me,
developer
it's
is.
too much.
This is what the developer has told them, and is what the planning department is indicating that is probably what they're
The
gonna.
problem with developers, they come into the city of Pomona and they do. They wanna do, I hate to say this.
speaking as someone as an objective observer
Yes.
here, because I don't live in this neighborhood. I live in Pomona, but not in this neighborhood.
Okay.
I am concerned with how the planning department is reporting the process to.
Can you speak up, please? We can't. I
I'm
hear
sorry.
the kids behind us a little louder. Sorry.
As an maybe objective, perhaps expert observer, is I'm a little concerned with how the city staff is explaining the process to Carol and Mike and the neighborhood.
Or
And
lack
that's-
of,
and-
because it's confusing.
And it
Totally
does
confusing.
seem to be different than what you're saying, because they seem to have an idea of what the developer can build and what they think they have to allow the developer to build. So I think there has been some communication between the developer and the city staff.
Well,
Absolutely.
That's
perhaps
just-
between them, but the council doesn't have any indication of what's happening, and I think that is a very, very serious situation.
This-
I would like to have, if there is something coming down the pipeline, I think council should be allowed to know, hey, this is what's going on in a meeting, and maybe have
On
a
record.
town meeting. I think you've had two.
A specific sort of situation in somebody who understands kind of how traffic works, and it's sort of obvious. The people, if there's 75 units they've
Yeah.
talked about, so
Somebody's
that's
first.
so that potentially is 100 to 140, because that's two people, husband and wife, whatever, partner, whatever. That's 100, between 100 and 140 people leaving that development.
Every day.
Let's just say 100, because some people don't work for regular hours. But let's say 100 people leaving that property twice a day.
One driveway.
Leaving
One driveway.
There's only going to be one driveway, and here's the specific thing. So
It comes right down Palmer.
again, looking at other developments, like the development at Gary and Bonita, that driveway, where people come out of that, and it's bigger, but that driveway is, I think, 100 feet from the corner. And I know, as an architect, that's kind of God's speaking. Planners always want the access point as far from the intersection as possible. And so for me, what leaped out at me immediately is that narrow property is not going to allow them to get that driveway far enough from that very busy and dangerous intersection. So you're going to have 100 cars, maybe 80 cars, twice a day coming in and out of there. They're not going to be able to turn left because there's so little room between where that driveway will be.
3 cars.
Let me ask you, have you seen the designs? Is that what you're telling me?
No, this is
Okay, because, we can go ahead and assume this and that.
no. I will bet you. I'll bet you a good cup of coffee. There's only one place that driveway will be. It'll
Right next to the wall.
And this is actually.
It's already
I
there.
don't know, I can't
Well, no, it's
comment.
just
There's no way I can comment on
the
that.
planners.
I'm not a
you can-
planner, I'm not an
He
engineer.
is.
I'm an architect.
He is.
I will tell you, every project you start with a planning department, whether it's,
Yeah.
and I work a lot more in LA, and then there's guidelines. Where do you put the driveway? And it's always about, this is like, okay, the sun comes up in the morning, and it sets in the afternoon, and then where you put the driveway for a large development is like right up there with the sun. It's so critical. It's sort of obvious. You want the cars coming in and out of a development as far away from the intersection as possible. I mean, I could,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, she was waiting, I'm sorry.
This is probably my lack of knowledge, but you're saying that you weren't aware of it, and that I know the mayor was at the last meeting. Why did he not go back and tell you guys what was going on, and then you start moving
I
forward
cannot
with
answer
it?
for the mayor.
Because you're saying for us as residents to come and tell you, you guys already knew. So what have you done since the mayor was there to now? Because you're saying personally you're opposed to it. So what's been done?
I'm opposed to it because this is my city. I've been here all my life, and I know the curve that goes into Heritage Circle. It goes around. It's quiet, and it's a very specialized area.
Okay.
But that wasn't the question. I just
then
wanna-
my
I do
question
not
is,
know.
what have
I have
you
no
guys
answer for
done?
that. because
I just wanted to
don't
add one
know.
What
last
have you
technical
done?
part of this.
I have not done anything because nothing's been brought to me.
So
Did the mayor
Unfortunately.
tell you?
No, ma'am.
So
He
you're
didn't.
saying the mayor did not communicate
No, he did not tell
what
me.
he heard at the meeting,
No.
also saying he grew up in this city and he dearly loves it so much and nothing has been done.
No,
So,
he has not
as
brought
a
it up to me.
taxpayer, I'm very disturbed by that you guys
Speak
are
to the
hearing
mayor.
this information and you're doing nothing.
The mayor lives right there.
Okay.
Where does he
Can I
live? I don't even
I just
know.
want
I
to
was
just
told
one
that
last
she
technical
had-
point on
I'm
this.
sorry.
So there's 100 cars leaving this development in the morning and 100 coming back in the afternoon. More. But that's, within that hour, 2 hours, there's a lot of traffic coming in and out of that. They're not going to turn left onto San Bernardino to go to town because that's already a mess. They're going to drive through this community. So you're going to have there's more cars there than on any 3 or 4 blocks, 4 or 5 blocks within that neighborhood. So they're all going to come through to these streets.
Speeding, by the way.
Well,
So
Speeding.
that's for me.
And
That's
I car
kind of
walk
Speeding.
here
That
every
is-
morning, so I know that I
Right.
see people
We,
going to
we,
work.
yeah, we
Our
clocked it at
neighbors
60 miles
that
an hour
run
at
that
one point.
Stop sign over there. I mean, people need to be careful. You can put up stop signs. You can put up
No, we
digital.
need
and
bumps.
if
We need
people
bumps.
are-
We
We need
bumps.
bumps.
Well,
We need bumps.
We have a
The
moratorium.
motor,
No.
that's not the
No,
answer.
that's
That's not the
okay,
answer,
well,
because we can change that, can't
Well,
we?
we
We
can
can
do an
change that.
amendment.
That's
We
the
just
answer.
came
We
out
can
with
change
Not
it.
only that, Fred, not only that, Fred, but before we did the moratorium, they had a 2 to 3 year wait. Can't hear you. We had a 2 to 3 year wait for people that wanted speed bumps, and they told us.
Who's they? Who's they?
Yeah, we pay for it ourselves,
Staff.
yeah.
Staff.
The staff.
Yes.
So the
Yeah.
staff
We have
decides
it
what we
ourselves.
have.
Okay, so they said that before anybody else can be on the waiting list, we have to accommodate the other 2 to 3 years of people that have been waiting, and they've been waiting for a long
So
time.
if somebody gets killed or hurt, will that, I don't know,
and I
put us
tried
back
to-
down on the
and
list?
I tried to do my part.
Because I almost got hit last month.
Yeah, a lot of people almost get hit. We've had so many fatalities. That's
The
why-
moratorium law's got to change. Forget the
Exactly,
waiting
Fred.
list thing.
Well,
Forget the
then-
waiting list
well, then
thing.
you need to speak to staff.
Very, very good.
Oh,
Who's
Very
the
good.
staff? Give us the names.
Okay, we have, ma'am, we have, can't hear you. We have the city attorney,
Okay,
we have
name
the
'em.
city manager,
Okay.
we have public works, we have the engineering. All these people are
Working for the city of Pomona, the citizens of Pomona,
Yes,
by the
we
way,
pay-
yes.
We pay their
Yes.
salaries.
Exactly, Fred,
Yes.
exactly. So, Monday, tomorrow night at 7 p.m., if you would like to come, please do, because this is how we get things done. I believe in working together and being as safe as possible in this city. We have been abused by a lot of stuff. I just notified about the noise ordinance. I notified about various things, the moratorium. I mean, there's on the speed bumps, everything. I wanted Towne Avenue to be completely done. When I first started in 2016, they said no because concrete is too expensive. So I've been waiting since 2016 to have some improvements.
The pavement and whatnot.
Yes, the cement, okay, concrete is very expensive.
G10 Freeway got a lot of it, didn't they?
Well, that's
Yeah, I mean,
Caltrans.
I was just going to say maybe.
Doesn't matter, they
one
still
last-
got
But
cement.
it's Caltrans, ma'am.
Absolutely appreciate the concern for
Yeah.
speed bumps and there's the traffic.
Yes.
And so for me, again, there's other issues, but the biggest concern for this neighborhood is adding to the point that the streets are already dangerous, and you're trying to you put speed bumps and
We're
other.
trying to do what we can, yes.
But now the traffic along the
Hundredfold.
streets is going to be 3 times or 4 times as much.
Yeah, and San Bernardino Road is notorious town, and San Bernardino Road is.
That's why they're going
Super
to
bad.
those 100 people.
And
twice
so
a
gonna
that's
get
why
worse.
we need 200
It's gonna
more
get
cars.
worse.
The 100
Yeah.
people twice a day are going to come to this
Jackson that
neighborhood.
lives on the corner, he has that digital right in front of his house because he is so upset. He says it's helped. Those digitals will help. Will that driver slow down? No. If they don't want to, I mean, we've had some terrible collisions.
Why don't we have more?
Why do we have a stop sign?
just-
Put more stoplights up.
Situation.
Yeah, let's put more
Cops are
stoplights
not
up.
around, and you know it.
Right. Wait a minute, excuse me.
Elizabeth?
The police.
They're not
Okay.
around.
Excuse me.
When I asked them,
Elizabeth, I just spoke
Like I said,
2 weeks ago with Sergeant Schaefer, Pomona PD. I called him, I said, we need motor cops right at Palomares to Madison. I'll get them there tomorrow. Wonderful. A cop came by at 2:23 in the afternoon, sat on a park. He was there 30 seconds. took off and we never saw him again. Is that what we have to do? We have to keep calling
That's
our own
something,
police?
then you should be talking to
We
the
never saw him
Washington
again.
Man.
He was
You should be
there
talking to the chief
for
of
20
police.
seconds.
The thing is this, I'm always asking for motorcycle cops.
We have
them
4.
on Alvarado, we have them on town. I just requested that this weekend.
We have 4. We just got one that started on
And
the
it's only
21st. He's
during
on
the
training.
day,
Training.
Carol.
Yes, he's only
Only
at
during the
training. So we'll have
Yes.
5.
Yes.
But he's going to send them over to other areas that need it more than we do. That's Sergeant
the
Taylor.
problem.
I live on Roosevelt. I hear all those horrible
Yes,
accidents.
yes.
I've been here 13
Well, I
years.
was a nurse.
I've
I
seen
used
so
to
many-
be a nurse
It's
at
horrible.
Roosevelt. I used to
When
be a
there's
nurse
never
at
any
Emerson.
cops
I've
there.
been a nurse in all the schools. Believe me, I have seen the way people are driving. These are adults. I had to get curves painted on Allison 2 months ago. Because what are people doing? Upstanding citizens? They're literally parking their car on the ADA accessibility, letting people who are in walkers or wheelchairs go out into the street. Is that what we do as residents? No, we should be law-abiding. We have to set the example, whether it's that or speeding.
I mean,
That
actually,
or
one
speeding.
other point.
People roll on the stop signs.
In addition to
Yes.
in addition to the 100 cars twice a day,
Yes.
there's probably going to be very little provision for guest parking, which is what used to be kind of common 15 or 20 years ago, because the law allows reduced visitors parking if not completely eliminated. So this is something that Mike and Carol had made a very clear point. You're going to have visitors who are going to this development parking along the streets.
Exactly.
And so, I mean,
Right on San Bernardino near Adam.
And Palomar,
My house.
Adams.
And San Bernardino.
They're going to come through the alley from San Bernardino to Adams. They're going to cut through.
I have another question. I'm still quite a little bit unclear. So does it go from the freeway to San Bernardino, and from town to the is the school going to go away, or does it stop where the little school is?
What are you
I
talking
don't
about?
quite
It stops where the
understand.
school is, where that big
So-
pine tree is.
So
It
the
stops
school
there.
will remain there.
Correct.
That's the church property. That's
The
that's
council has not
Yeah.
But
received
then
any
I heard
notification.
that there's a spot from the freeway to a
no, that's
fence.
behind. That's behind this
Yes.
property that's been for sale.
Okay, the one that's right next to the freeway
Right.
is not
If they
included.
buy
Correct.
that,
Okay.
there's some talk about buying that, but if they buy that, it's going to have no impact.
Somebody
It's not
just
gonna make it
Yeah.
worse.
somebody just graded it last week and covered it with a heavy DG. So somebody's doing something with it. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, but
In a big vision,
I'll take a better picture so you can see it and put it on.
you know, another issue
the
is
problem
that
with all
the
this
on-ramp
is
or the off-ramp from the freeway is already
When I see
dangerous.
something, I attack it. I get it done. Palomares, I heard so many excuses from Paula Lance from me beforehand about we couldn't get a stop sign. It was literally a drag strip from Palomares to McKinley. I called Paula, we need bumps. We need so her exact words to me were, if you're going to have a better time, you'll have a better chance to speak to God before you can get a stop sign in. 1 week later, I had that stop sign in because I went to the traffic, I went to PD, we had a round table. 3 days it was in.
You know, and
Things are possible if you would get on it.
And I got one on Caswell and Alvarado when the kids
So don't
were
tell me
walking.
that there's
So
no bumps
yes,
available.
You can do it. You can do it.
You all
But
have
you
discretionary
have
funds
to-
as well.
You have to.
You
Carol.
all have discretionary funds that you do borrow from one another to put them in.
One or another. No, we don't borrow.
Oh,
from one
yes, you
another.
do.
Okay, I have another
I'm sorry,
point.
but you do.
Yeah.
I
No,
wanna
we
remind-
are given discretionary funds.
Yes, you are, but you
Yes.
can use that for bumps.
I think this occurred even before that first meeting. This is an example that the developer is not to be trusted. So Carol did due diligence.
Okay.
She talked to the developer and they said, oh, we're moving along and we've already talked to traffic and everything's fine.
No, I.
But
no,
wait,
I-
but please,
That was my
but
conversation
but
with
please,
Mr.
but
Timothy
please.
Sparks of Earthing Home. I called him directly.
I don't know
And
the
he-
conversations.
Okay,
Well, this
but
is what
this
now
is
we're
what
reporting
I've
to
done.
you
Yeah.
the conversation. So Carol called the person from traffic and said, did this really happen? He said, no, they haven't called us at all. So the developer is not your
Right,
friend.
already.
This is
Oh,
a
no
very
kidding.
bad
He said they
beginning
talked to the
for a
traffic, that,
relationship
yes, they can have
with the developer.
the-
If they're lying about a phone call to the traffic department, they're going to do
It's a
whatever
very
they
long
can.
process, sir. It's a very
It's
long
a very long
process.
process, but
Yes.
this is a really bad place
And
to
don't
start.
listen to anybody until it comes to council, or if you, like I said, a town hall meeting.
Yeah.
And actually invite the staff.
We will.
Well, I,
That's
I,
what
I,
you
I,
have
you know,
to
there's
do.
a lot of
And
stuff,
we've
but
done that.
I want the people who in this neighborhood to hear the developer is already lying.
Okay.
Already lying from the very beginning,
that's
and
part
it
of
seems
the
like the
course.
staff is at best complicit. That's my opinion, and I want you to know that as a community.
And the discretionary funds, I used $80,000 that was rolled over for those 4 streets that I mentioned. It took $80,000 of my CIP money because that's how important it is to be safe in this city, in my district, because I'm very, very possessive of my district. But as a city as a whole, wherever I can find any type of safety, I will do that.
I've been possessive of my neighborhood since day one because we need help. We almost had a child killed here not too long
Well,
ago who was
yeah.
playing in the street,
And there was
right in front of his own
29
home.
accidents on
And
town.
Elizabeth, it's not-
29 accidents on town in East Pasadena.
This is a
that was
side street.
closed. Exactly.
That's why we need
This
the
is
humps
in the middle
here.
of
Exactly.
residential.
Unfortunately, my neighbor on East Pasadena was crossing to her car 2 months ago, and a guy driving, and he went over the bump, because those bumps have been there since 2007, and he went over the bump and ran her over. She had a hemorrhage in her brain. She had a trauma and everything else. And that was my neighbor, and she was 65 years old. It doesn't matter how old you are. If these people are not driving.
Were
And
they
do you know,
bumps or were they
before-
humps?
They're speed bumps.
Yeah,
No, there's
Yeah.
humps.
Yeah.
There's
And there's
humps
bumps.
and
There's-
there's bumps.
Bumps
Yeah.
are dangerous.
yeah.
Humps are fine.
They
It'll
have-
slow you down and you'll roll over.
Well,
Bumps
we
will
have them. They're
mess
all
up your
over.
car.
They're all over the city.
Yeah,
What we
humps.
need,
Yeah.
my opinion,
That's all I can say.
because I've looked at like everything. If we had humps or bumps at the stop
Yes.
sign, it's a 4-stop.
Yeah.
But for north and south.
Yes.
And also a stop at Roosevelt and Palomares.
Exactly.
That would end it.
Yep.
Well, people
Well,
complained when we
it would calm it
closed off
down.
McKinley because Adam Donner and his residents from McKinley, we did a traffic study and a speed study. People were going 55 miles, 53
Yeah, I
miles
know.
an hour.
Now they're
On
doing it on our
McKinley.
street because they
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
do it on
Now-
McKinley.
Now, you know, we have closed it off. We had teachers
driving 50
crossing
miles an hour
Towne
to McKinley.
Avenue
They were
to
until
get
they stopped it at
across to
town.
McKinley
But now
to
those
take
people
the freeway.
go up
When all
California.
they have is Towne Avenue there, just make a right, and there you are with 10.
So what they're
But
doing
now
is
they're
coming,
coming
zooming
down
up our
Okay,
street
no,
and going up that way.
It was the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It was the wrong thing.
Now all this
Yep.
traffic comes all the way through our streets,
Yep.
and all you do is laugh about it.
I'm not laughing.
Yes, you are.
And they
Yeah.
but their parents
Yeah.
always are.
Excuse me.
You caused
You're laughing. You
You
caused a
caused
big
it.
problem.
No, I did
Yes,
not.
you did.
It was the citizens, just like you,
That those
citizens
children,
No,
of
it was
Pomona,
you and your
that
friend.
They
You and your
came-
friend.
They
That was
came-
it.
even when the kids are
Ra-
not.
Adam
Say nothing
Donner
of our precious people.
came to the city council with his people, 50, 60 people. He had a 70-page petition, okay? And we had a year and a half of meetings with the police department and staff. You weren't there.
Why were you opposed to the why were you opposed to the petition that I put together against this?
Because
I mean,
you know what?
you demanded that I not put that petition into
You
and bring
wanted-
that over.
We have the payoff.
You remember that? You yelled at me
you-
for about half an hour
No,
on
you-
that.
no,
Yes, you did.
no, you
Don't
yelled at
deny
me.
that.
No, you yelled at me.
No,
called me
you
out.
no, I don't.
You
I
called me out. But
I didn't
anyway, okay, the San Bernardino light, you wanted for the cars to go on the San Bernardino light, and then they would stop, a four-way stop on McKinley. At that speed, you're expecting a four-way stop?
Yeah.
Mike, you cannot do that.
I don't know where you got that idea because my original petition didn't say anything about a four-way stop.
wanted a
It
four-way
said that
stop.
we do not want that area closed off. That was all it said, and I got everybody's signature all
Because
up
you
and
never
down those
presented
streets.
You never presented me.
Well, yeah, because you yelled at me for 45 minutes.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
Okay, you say that, and that's your word against mine, but
Yeah,
you called me
and
up.
people around here
and
trust
you're
me
upset.
more than they trust you.
Okay, then let's run against each other.
Closing
Yeah,
off
let's
McKinley,
do that. So let's do that.
Closing off McKinley was wrong because McKinley is a straight shot to the hospital. That is where our
Okay.
fire department, now they're coming through our
Now they're
through
coming
our
right up
city.
Towne Avenue.
They're coming through our streets.
Calamari.
Just like you,
That was stupid. You should have closed off Roosevelt.
Adam,
Yeah.
the minister of First Pres, and his residents that lived on McKinley,
You can't turn left on McKinley
they
from Towne
formed
Avenue.
a petition.
They blocked it
Adam Donner.
at Town. You can't turn left anymore.
Okay, and he came to the
Now they
council
come up
with
Calamaris.
petitioners, just like you're going to be coming. Tomorrow night, I'll see everybody there.
No, you won't.
You won't?
I won't be there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, whoever comes,
make
they
up
will
for
have
you.
a chance, just like Adam Donner and his residents from McKinley. And we did it. It took 2 years to get that closed. Okay, we had meetings at City Hall. We had meetings at private homes.
What was the purpose of closing?
The purpose of closing it was
Let's get back on topic.
Wait a minute.
Let's get back on
Yeah,
topic.
but wait a minute.
Let's
wait
get
a
back
minute.
on topic.
You know what I'm hearing? They're putting more effort into closing a street than something that's going. I don't care if it's from yesterday or 5 years ago. They're
Okay.
putting more. Let me put it this way: more importance was put on closing that street than this project that's going to ruin our neighborhood, and it can just be passed through.
again.
That's where I'm at.
Just like Adam Donner and the residents of McKinley. Everybody's entitled to come to
Ordinance
City
number
Hall.
4322, this can be changed. They can change at will any historical site, any of these things. This is ridiculous. If you want something changed, just make an ordinance
only
and
one
it'll be,
council
okay, I'm not
only
saying
one
you.
council
I'm
person.
saying the whole of Pomona from the mayor on down.
Yeah,
This is
and we'll see you tomorrow night.
corruption. I will be there. This is corruption that we never. I knew Pomona was bad. I've had people on the planning commission who left because they couldn't stand what was going on in the Nel Soto days. But now this is when I've seen what's going on. The mayor doesn't give a hoot about us. No one gives a hoot about the residents who I elected them in there. I elected you in there, and now we're
Yes,
being
ma'am.
treated like a
We
piece
care-
of garbage.
no, we
I said
care
no.
about you.
This can't happen.
We care about you.
Well,
We care
then you
about
better change and start listening to the residents.
Fred, you know that we care about you.
I do. If
You know,
this is,
and I
we just need a little more
appreciate everybody that's
proactiveness here,
And,
I think.
You know, I wish I can.
I'm done with
wave my-
excuses.
Excuse me. I wish I could wave my magic wand and get this done.
All you need to do is talk to each other. That's all.
No,
That'll work.
we need you.
The left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing.
Exactly.
And that's you guys.
So
That's from the mayor on down, apparently.
Have you seen where he lives?
Are you?
No, I don't even know where he lives.
I know where he just lives over on.
I've rescued his dog twice and he treated me like dirt. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. He lives in a nice place. but-
You know, I
Cute.
know it's a very upsetting
But I know I'm
time.
not gonna live in a
I
nice
know
place
it's-
if this goes
I know
through.
it's a very upsetting time. I
It
really
is.
do. And I want to be there for you. And I am against this project. I don't know how much I can tell you that.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Your position, what can you do for us? Your
I will
position.
be there to support you.
And doing what?
I-
What could you do?
You know,
I don't know.
I
I'm
don't
asking.
believe in having 53 to what, 80
I think they projected
Okay,
75.
places? 80 places
Well,
there?
what can you do? What kind of power do you have to help us?
We are a council.
advocate.
A council is a collaboration of people. We're supposed to be helping the people. Why are we council people if we're not?
But you just said if it's a, what was the term? I'm sorry. When they can come and do what they want.
Right.
It's a by right.
Right.
A by
A
right. So
by
if it's a by right, you have no power.
But
And it doesn't have to go through planning.
the thing is this.
Eminent domain.
No, that's not.
It's
totally
not-
different.
no,
That's
it's
totally
different. Yeah, that's
not
different.
We can change that. We can
I think
people,
that's the
how do we get
starting
that
point
as
of this meeting,
people?
is getting that changed, the by right thing changed. I
We
think
need
that's
to
our
change
starting
that.
point.
That's what I mean. If we can amend that.
Well, it
if-
starts
Correct.
if
Monday,
we
starts
can-
tomorrow.
Then please.
What do you want me to do?
I
Let's
want you
speak
to
at the
be there
meeting.
and speak up.
I will be there.
Speak up.
I
You have-
will.
Unfortunately, you only have 3 minutes.
I can get a lot in at 3 minutes.
Okay, that's it. I
You haven't
know.
noticed? And I can come back and do it. And
Okay,
it's not just a
super.
one-time thing. It's got to be every council and every planning
You
commission
said the by
meeting.
right was in Pomona's charter or whatever, but you also said the by right is in a state mandate, correct?
There's yeah.
So
there
which
are
one,
some-
if
but
you can
yes.
change it here, but the state, from what I understand, can come and do it.
Override it.
SAD.
Override is what you're
Even
saying.
Like Barger, Catherine Barger cannot do anything about the Fox Plan, even though they're coming back. She can't do anything from what I read in
From the
everything
website? What is it?
everybody's talking about.
Fox
Because the
Plan?
by right
Fox
is
Plan.
Is that
I know there's
right?
something going on.
Glenn.
in San Dimas.
Actually, there's
Oh,
3
yeah, okay,
agencies
yeah.
that are now involved that may
Okay.
change.
Well, that's San Dimas, but I
But
know
back to the
I'm
by right.
concerned
If
about
you change the
Pomona.
by right here, how does that change
There
the by
is a
right?
by
in the
right.
state of
There
California?
is a by right that's in. There's a small clause that former Councilwoman Sarasota
said that earlier.
had mentioned that she thought that would give too much power to one staff person.
So my
That
point is,
it should come to the planning.
correct, I understand.
And
But
that's-
if you
and that's-
change that here in Pomona and we get it changed when it comes to planning, how does that change the state? Because the state's by right now is mandating each city need to have so much housing. So how does that, that's what I'm trying to understand.
Because there's local jurisdictions here.
So then can we vote on it if you get that
I
change?
think-
Everybody can vote
I
and say,
think-
hey, no, we don't want that?
As the people of Pomona, you have a right to be heard. You have a right to freedom of speech. Okay? You have a right to
No, I hear, I
tell
understand
people.
that.
So you, as a person, a taxpayer, should go tomorrow and say, we're concerned about this. This is my
Okay,
fee.
I understand what you're saying, but
Explain the
but-
by right.
Okay, you're walking around the bush right
Oh,
now.
you're asking
So
me.
answer the question. And if you don't know it, just say I don't know. If we change, so if you change the by right in the city of Pomona,
I would like to.
okay, we change that. Then the state has no say, and everybody here can vote if does that happen and change that, or does the state supersede that and say no, sorry, we're going to do what we're going to do.
The
You
former
guys have no
council
right.
person tried to change it for our city. That's what I'm concerned about.
When did she try to do that?
2 years ago.
When did
Before
this
she
by right?
retired.
Does anyone know when this by right state mandate
About 2
came?
years ago. The
State mandate.
last year or so.
So she
Before
tried
she
to
retired.
change it before the state even had theirs in.
I don't know
The
about
state
the
law would
state.
have superseded anyways, but the state, we need more housing. This is true.
That's the thing.
And for me, the strongest case here for your neighborhood is the state is telling Pomona you have to build X number of housing.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
Pomona is doing its share better than most cities.
That's correct, right.
And that's and that is
Plus
true.
Fairplex with over 11,000 units possibly going in. Okay, we're not.
So Pomona's doing a
We're not
great job
starving
at
on
providing,
housing.
allowing development. And again, they've spent millions of dollars on really good planning studies to where to put that higher density. It's in my opinion, it does not belong on that lot because for all the reasons we all understand, there's just not enough. There's not enough infrastructure. There's not like the traffic issues, but also as again what the planner has said, and I'm sharing this for you people to understand this. The planner has said, oh, because Towne Avenue is such a wide street, we're going to turn that into a walkable neighborhood, which is a goal. And as Mike said very well, Towne Avenue is not going to be a walkable neighborhood for 100 years. But what a walkable neighborhood looks like is Gary. Because if you live close to Gary, it's already a kind of a walkable neighborhood because you can walk to the
I
store.
live by Gary and it's not a walkable.
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot more. It's a lot more walkable. It's a lot more walkable.
There's more businesses on here.
It's more walkable. It's more walkable than town will ever be. That's kind of the idea that the planning department wants to present is we want walkable neighborhoods, and that's where we should build more density. And as a kind of somebody who understands this process, that logic, which is fine, it's really good thinking, but Towne Avenue is counter to that logic. Towne Avenue is not, does
all residential.
increased density closer to Gary makes sense. Well, I'm not.
I'm just, can we answer that right question though? Did we get into that or
I don't think she doesn't have the ability to answer if the state can override. Yeah, can state override your question? And that's my question. If we get it corrected in the city of Pomona, and then the state goes squash, and the developer will say, we're following state mandates, we're back to SOL.
We have no power.
Yep, that's.
So it's like a waste of
Yep.
piece of paper, toilet paper.
Yep. Yep.
You said there's a lot of exemptions to the Article 34, but you had several things, correct?
Right, but there's also.
If you put low renting and
There's also another one. Yeah, but there's also ordinance number 4322 which supersedes all that, and they can willy-nilly any historical site, like she said it was historical. It should have been historical, as it was torn down. Right? Stop it. They just willy-nilly did and said, "Oh, doesn't need to worry about it." We Carl and Albert and I got made sure that the dust level was okay. We called the inspector on site to make sure that the asbestos wasn't flying in. We were doing it. Nobody else has done it in the city of Pomona.
She's right. I mean,
Nobody does their job when they're elected by the citizens. And this is what's really infuriating. I've sat quiet for 65 years. My father was a real estate broker here and knew everybody. I've been to probably every home that he sold here. Yeah. And this is a total upside down way of life because of the people that have been voted in and elected, that I voted in. I will change that. I will do my very best to change that. Mm-hmm. We need people that care about us, people here that will know what they're doing, that will back the citizens. Is it on every subject? Probably not. But for something this important, that changes our life, changes our way of living, traffic, safety, possible crime coming in. I'm always going to use that word because it's happening more and more everywhere. You can't avoid it. Who's going to help us?
Another point. Mike brought this to my attention on Friday that a crew showed up with very big equipment that you can all go and see that's still there. And they were digging. They dug a very deep hole. And I suspect that it was not. It was
It's behind
the big
the
hole
fence.
has been cut. They filled it in.
Okay.
So a crew works on Friday, and to be a little cynical, maybe because the city is closed on Friday, they dug a hole that was probably like 30 feet by 36 feet, probably 10 feet or deeper. They told Mike that they were looking for a tank. What the heck I don't know what that means. But it's pretty. If you want to create a list of things why not to trust this developer. To me, this is on that list, is why does a crew show up, dig a big hole in the middle of the lot, and then fill it up? So if there was a tank, what kind of tank? Why did they fill it up? They were digging a smaller hole within a few feet from the property line that was deeper than OSHA would allow. So there's really a large list of...
The dust alone was flying everywhere when they were demolishing the building itself. I've got video of it. Puffs flying all over into the neighborhood across the street.
What did they fill the hole in?
I'd like to make
More dirt. We don't know.
Dirt or the debris?
We don't know.
Just
No.
so that I have clarity, was this property within the historic district?
No. No.
Anything above McKinley is not historic. Anything below is.
And Elizabeth, we want to thank you for coming. And the right that you're talking about, a property owner has the right to do whatever they want to.
Right.
Is that somehow grandfathered in this case?
Yeah, Elizabeth? Here's a question for Elizabeth. I don't know if she would know or not. Elizabeth?
There's sort of a trick in the zoning issues. Is why that somebody.
And they can change the zoning at will, by the way. They can change the zoning at will to make it. If there's this historical site, which I just did on, I don't know the street, is Gibbs, to change the building, they change the zoning under that possible ordinance. So it's willy-nilly. Oh, let's get this done. Well, we can use this one and get it done. they don't follow what needs to be followed and the process that goes with it.
It's intriguing that I can't change my windows because it impacts
Right.
the atmosphere of Lincoln
Right.
Park, but they can build across the street from it and change everything.
Exactly.
That's a great way to begin your 3 minutes at City.
Yes, that's
Yeah, exactly. I know, but I feel
a little more force though.
I have a suggestion.
A little more.
Carol?
I have a
Yes, sir.
suggestion for the meeting on Monday night. I don't know how many people are planning, but rather than just having one person speak, if more people are interested in speaking, I really feel like each person, pardon me, should take a different like you might say one thing, and then this person's going to talk about the traffic. This person's going to talk about the danger. This person's going to talk about how, so that one person is not trying to fit everything into one site.
Well, this is
That
gonna
way
be
you could have a
first of
person.
many meetings as well.
Yeah, well,
Here's
but
the-
what I'm saying though,
One other issue that we were made aware of at the meeting with the planners
yes,
is that what they told us is you should be okay. It's probably going to have to go to the planning commission,
yeah,
but we've been hearing conflicting information already, and
Yeah.
but what Anita did say that the thing that will that will increase the need or the chances for going through the planning commission and stretching it out is people showing up.
At the council meeting.
So
Yeah,
if
that's
the
what
local
I'm
neighborhood,
saying.
if you guys go and say,
but don't you think the impact would be
Oh, yes,
if more
absolutely.
people spoke about it, each person having something a little different to say,
Oh, of course.
and that it would be much more impactful.
course, yeah.
And it's not just one person
3
griping.
minutes.
absolutely, I'm just
It needs
adding
to
the
be-
point
and you
that
can come back
that
the following
the way you're
month,
going to
the
get the most
Exactly.
most
And
results,
calm. Yeah.
not Mike.
As well as the planning commission.
Not that I
The
don't
planning,
appreciate
okay,
what
the
she's
planning
doing,
commission
trust me.
is
'Cause I really
closed
do.
this first meeting for some reason because they're under negotiations. If you look at the agenda, it says no one is allowed to speak unless it's on those subjects. That's what I have a question on.
I haven't reviewed it, so I
Yeah,
This is a
look at
question
the
for
agenda and
Elizabeth.
Let me know because I want to go to the planning commission as well.
Right.
I asked somebody on the planning commission a month ago if they heard anything about that, and they said nothing has come by the planning commission yet as to that spot.
Well, we want to make sure that they hear us before it even gets there.
That's right. That's right.
And also, on June 5th, down at the City Hall council meeting as well, they're going to vote on how much this is a side issue, the new garbage